Well, hey everybody, Scott Davis. Turn off this little hip hop music. I hope everybody's doing great. It is Wednesday here in Atlanta, noontime. So let me adjust my light, see if that works better. There we go. So want to see if people are online. Oh, there. Hit the thing. Make it work. There it goes. Probably would help if I charged it. Anyway, hope you're doing well. I every Wednesday and Friday, every Friday for sure, and most Wednesdays, I'm coming online and I try to have a very interesting interview with some interesting people. Usually it's one person, but I'm excited today. We've got two very, very interesting people. So I want you to stick around for that. It's going to be fun. You don't want to miss this interview. But I hope everybody's doing well. And let me know when you're online. I see several people watching, but if you want to make comments, go ahead and we'll pop those up there. So, but thank you for joining me on this live Facebook and YouTube channel. Eventually, I'm just going to make it YouTube. So if you want to subscribe, go to youtube.com, ScottDavisTV. So when you go over to YouTube, search for Scott Davis TV. Now, I know everybody's been watching the news. We've been living in some weird, troubling times. And I was reading here in this called The Focused Life. There it is right there. It's Psalms and Proverbs. And it's the New Living Translation, which I love for this, Psalms and Proverbs. And I came across this verse. You tell me if this sounds relevant, because I believe the Bible is always relevant to our time. But here's what it says. I am tired of living among people who hate peace. This is Psalm 120, verse 6 and 7. I am tired of living among people who hate peace. Verse 7, I search for peace, but when I speak of peace, they want war. Does that sound like current times? It does to me. But then Psalm 121, verses 1 and 2 says this, encouraging. I look up to the mountains. Does my help come from there? Then verse 2 says this, my help comes from the Lord. Isn't that good? My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. Folks, we got to turn to Jesus. There's a lot of forces out there at work in our nation that we can't see. I really, truly believe that. I believe this is demonic and satanic attacks and forces working behind the scenes to try to destroy good. So we need to turn to Christ. And folks, that's what people need is Jesus. So anyway, didn't want to be a downer today. I'm just saying there's a lot of stuff out there. People are giving a lot of answers, but the only answer that's going to solve this problem is Christ and living for Him. And if you don't know what that is, read the Bible. You'll figure it out. So I want to get right into some photos real quick. This is photos that either I've taken or I think that are funny. And I always love doing this. This is my first one. I figure, why in the world should I put it together when I could just use it as is? That's what I'm saying, right? Just use the box. So let me show you another one. This is the best that I've seen so far of people fighting the coronavirus. This guy's really got it going on. So anyway, when I look at this picture, that is a giant sandwich. And the first thing I think of is I need a Diet Coke. Hey, trying to save calories, Diet Coke. Who else does that? Anybody else with me on that? That we go and get something huge and then say, I'd like a Diet Coke with that. So that's what we do. Now, here's the other one. I thought this was brilliant. Tile. You've seen that. Just say no to rugs instead of drugs. I love that. Tile. So whoever made that was really a great marketing tool. Now, this is what I'm saying. Is it over or under? I know what it is. I don't know if anybody else has this debate, but it's over. Okay, people? Anybody that does it under don't know what they're talking about. It's over. So that's what I'm saying. I'm looking at the different people who are online. So if you want to make a comment, go ahead and we'll pop it up there. So I think it's over. Anybody else with me on that? That's what I like that. And then this one, I thought this was funny. See that flip flop? That shadow looks like Thanos from the Avengers. Oh my gosh, that is so cool, I think. Now, I want to show you something that's not, well, I guess this could be funny. This was yesterday at Billy Lord Studio in his basement. Just letting you know that we're working on something brand new that's different, that I hope is funny, that's fun. And let me show you who's working with it. Of course, this is where we were recording this. And look who's singing with me on it. Yes, my wife is actually singing with me on this recording. So she's never sung with me before, but Donna is doing it. I think you're going to love this. So, and then I want to show you this. Last Friday, we did the interview with Brad Stein, the comic, who's great, brilliant. And if you haven't seen that, go back to my YouTube channel. It's also on Facebook. It's archived there. And watch that interview. He's been on, of course, the beginning part is him on the Huckabee Show. Mike Huckabee, he was on there. So check that out. It's backtonormaltour.com. That's live. That's up and running. There's clips of there of me. There's clips of him. He's recommended by Tucker Carlson talks about him in a very positive way. New Yorker magazine wrote him up. But we're trying to book these for the fall, October, November, December, Friday and Saturday nights. So check that out, Back to Normal Tour. And if you want it to come to your town, tell your pastor, tell your leader, go to backtonormaltour.com and check that out. Now, I want to get back to right here. And so I want to go over a few more little things I think will be interesting to you. I don't know if anybody knows this, but I have a full 1 hour live concert video that I recorded a couple of years ago. Hang on a second. I'm going to mute this. You didn't want to hear me cough in the mic anyway. So a couple of years ago, I did a live concert video, the Sweet Life Dessert Comedy Theater, a full live comedy event. And you can see it. I released it just audio version, but about 4 months ago, I decided to release the video version of it, and you can go see it. Right now, you can rent it or download it. The full hour live comedy show. Sorry, it muted me there. So let me try that. It's a Sweet Life. Scott Davis live from Mississippi. So, and if you go to ScottDavisVideo.com, ScottDavisVideo.com, it's over an hour of clean comedy for the whole family. You can stream it. It's $4.99 to rent it for 72 hours and watch it as much as you want in 72 hours for $4.99. Or $9.99, you can buy it and download it and own it and play it on any device, play it on your TV, play it on your iPhone, iPad, whatever. So that is available. I'd love for people to go check it out. If you need people, we need a laugh. We need some laughter. And then this I want to tell about. OneRealDay.com is I don't know if I can put my let me see if I can put me and a picture here. Let's see how I can do that. Can I do that? Let's see. Let me I don't know how to do it. But OneRealDay.com, please go there. It's a spiritual emphasis super conference is what I call it. Go to OneRealDay.com. We have one October 1st in Hampton, Virginia, October 6th in Orlando, and January 12th in Lubbock, Texas. There's a video there. This is for students of Christian schools. Folks, let me tell you, We need we need some Jesus moments, and our young people need Christ. And when we do these Christian school conferences, folks, there's a lot of people in Christian schools who aren't Christians. We see Muslims, we see atheists, and many of them come to Christ. At our last one we did, we had over 100 students make a commitment for Christ of some type. And so many of those were first time salvation commitments. But we need your help. We need your prayer for these to make sure people sign up. So if you know of anybody in Hampton, Virginia, Orlando, Florida, Lubbock, Texas, please, if they go to a Christian school or a Christian school principal, I implore you to go to onerealday.com, check out the videos there, and share that with your Christian schools in your area. Would love for people to sign up for that. onerealday.com, onerealday.com. So please check that out. And then before we get into the interview, I want to share this. There's if you want to donate to help with those conferences, you go to ScottDavis.com/donate. We have a PayPal link, a Square Cash link, and a Venmo. If you're a millennial and you like to give that way, you can. But please check those things out. I really would appreciate it. Now, I'm excited about today's interview because two friends that you're going to love. And so let's get right into it. I'm excited to have my friends Anita and Jim Danaker as our interview for the day. So it's going to be awesome. So, hey, let me bring you up here. There is Anita and Jim. Hey.
What's happening?
I am so glad you carved out a little time to talk to me today. I've known Anita for, since the beginning of time, I guess, a long, long time. And Jim, of course, I knew because he found a great person in Anita, and they're together now. And I just want to tell people about your story. And first of all, how did we meet, Anita? I kind of a little bit know, but you tell about it.
Originally I have no idea how we met. I just know I helped doing bookings for you, but I don't remember how we even met.
Well, I think it was, let me turn my mic down because I'm a little loud. I think it was from Mark Lowry because you became friends with him and a follower of him. And of course, he and I, he was in my wedding. And so we go way back. I think that's how we first made the connection. And I think it was, years ago, you came down to Atlanta and came to one of my first video recordings that I ever did. You remember that?
Right. I remember.
I forgot what year that was, but that was a long time ago. But we had a great time, and then of course you were living in Ohio at the time, and just I think just a follower of gospel music, right? Wouldn't you say that?
Yes, I loved Southern gospel.
Right.
And like in high school and college, loved Southern gospel. So.
And that's how the connection we made. And of course, then you moved to Tennessee. Yeah. Tell about why you moved to Tennessee and what you were doing there.
Well, funny enough, originally I had this dream of wanting to sing, but like even this right here makes me nervous. So I don't know why I thought I could be on stage singing in front of people, but that was kind of my original dream. And then I visited one time and I was like, there's something in the air. I'm supposed to be in Nashville. So I actually found a teaching job down here and moved. And that was like 20 some years ago. And Nashville just feels like home. It's an amazing place. Yeah.
You did a teaching job at first, and then didn't you become an editor or something with one of the Bible publishing places?
Man, Thomas, you're good.
My wife says I remember, the trip, things that I don't remember anything she talks about.
Right.
I remember stuff from way back.
It's not just me.
Yeah, it's not just you. That's for sure. I'm trying to hire a mind reader. That's all I'm saying because, that's the way they are. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, what happened is I moved down here to teach. I taught for a year, and I'm like, teaching is not what I'm supposed to do for the rest of my life. I would literally get in the car after teaching, drive home, crying the whole way home. I'm like, I'm miserable. This is not what I'm supposed to do. So I quit teaching after 5 years of college to be a teacher.
Right.
And so I'm like, what am I supposed to do now? So I just found odd and end jobs. I worked at Thomas Nelson Publisher. I started doing bookings for you for another Christian band that was out of California. Started building websites, and then through that is how I found Tammy Trent, which is who I've been helping for the last 20 years now. It's been, or 17 years now.
Yeah. And Tammy, for those of you who don't know, TammyTrent.com, I think is where and I'll put it up on the screen there too.
Tammy, by the way, designed that website.
Yeah, and you designed it. That's right. And you maintain it and keep it all up for her. But go to TammyTrent.com if you want to hear some great contemporary Christian music. She is awesome, awesome, awesome. And I love this about you, Anita, because there was an old preacher friend of mine, and he was a great guy, but he never was the senior pastor. He was always the executive assistant, associate pastor. And he wrote a book called The Second Man, because it's very, very important. And you're like the second woman in Tammy Trent's ministry. And you keep all that going so she can do her best, which is a very vital, vital role. And that's one reason I wanted to talk to you today, so people could hear about that, because a lot of people think you have to be the stage person, and you don't always have to be doing that to make a difference in people's lives. So you have a very, very important role. How did you meet Tammy originally?
Do you remember Pam Thumb?
Oh, yeah.
From back in the day. Pam and Tammy were best friends growing up. They knew each other growing up, lived together for a while. Their families all knew each other, grew up together. And I through all that, happened to start designing Pam's website. And through Pam, I heard of Tammy. And at the time, it was like 2000. And Tammy had just signed with Sparrow Records and had a song out on the radio that went #1. It was called My Irreplaceable. And so I was designing Pam's website, working on Pam's website, and she would talk about Tammy. And I would hear Tammy's song on the radio. I'm like, ooh, I want to meet her one day, and it was such a fun song. And so I just reached out to Tammy and her husband, Trent, at the time and said, at the time I was just trying to find web design clients. And so I was $10 an hour to build websites.
Oh,
so,
my.
Now she's 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I sent them an email and said, if you ever need help, I'm just trying to find clients. I'd love to help you. And so Tammy responded and set up a meeting with me and Trent. And we talked, and I started helping them, working for them, doing their websites, both of their websites. Trent had some websites too. And so that's kind of how we met.
And then,
crazy.
And of course, tell a little bit. This is not about Tammy, because I want it to be about you, this show. But she is single now, and tell what happened, a little bit of that, and then we'll get back to it, because I want people to understand the whole in context what you do with her. So
just in a nutshell, basically, they were high school sweethearts. She went into churches singing, and he was her manager, and they were met at 16, married at 20 something. They were basically together 18 years, and they went on a missions trip in 2001, and he was a certified scuba diver, and he went diving in the Blue Lagoon in Jamaica and never returned. And that next morning, they actually sent out a search team and found him the next morning, which was the morning of September 11th, 2001.
Wow.
So, and she happened to be stuck in Jamaica because of planes were grounded. So it's a really, emotional and powerful story, but in a nutshell, that's what happened. And so, a year later, Women of Faith called and wanted her to come and share her story and sing a song, in arenas of 10 to 20,000 women. And she needed somebody.
Right.
So she had known me for the last year. It just kind of made sense. And I had never done anything like what I do for her, but she's like, just come out with me. I'll show you what I need.
Sure.
You can learn along the way. And that was 17 years ago.
Wow. And that's the best way to do it. The best experience is on the road. And you just stepped right into that role that he used to do, that Trent used to do in the management part, and you just took it over. And I know you've been a big blessing to her. And so do check out TammyTrent.com, because it's a great looking website, #1, because you designed it. And then check out her stuff. She's got books and all kind of stuff. So support her. That's great. You don't need any more plugs. She's a great person. But now, so you've been 17 years with her, and you were single. Now, Jim sitting next to you. You've been married to him how long?
Well, amazingly, we just passed 5 years in January.
And how are y'all? First of all, let me ask this. I'm going to throw this, since this is that season. I hope this doesn't become a season, but it's the season of coronavirus. And I don't know. I've been locked up with I've never been this close to my wife in years. I mean, this, together. I mean, just the other day, I asked her where the spoons were, and she goes, We've been married 21 years, living together. How do you not know where the spoons are? Anyway.
Sounds like our house.
Then I
Well,
found her. I found her
moving them every couple of days to keep me on my toes.
That's right. That's right. I found Donna huddled in the corner in the closet. So what are you doing in here? And she goes, I just needed some alone time. I figured you wouldn't find me here because you can't find the spoons. But anyway, but it's been crazy. It's been crazy all the stuff that's happened. But you're married now to Jim. Tell how you guys met because I thought that was kind of cool.
Well, you start that story.
Stop me if I go too long. I'm the talkative one. So long story short, I had gone through a really difficult time. My first marriage came to an end. And after all of that, which was obviously a very, very difficult time, I think it was my mom probably who dared me to get on Christian Mingle and just give it a shot. Just try it. And I was not in the mood. It just, it wasn't
right.
But my daughter, who at the time was 9 years old, came home from school one day and she said, Daddy, I need to tell you something. I think you really deserve to find somebody who's going to love you. And of course that meant the world to me. And so I thought, okay, just to shut everybody up, I'll do the 2-week free trial, So I got on there and I'd get on and I would go through page after page and no. And on the last day that I was eligible, I got on, I went through 18 pages of profiles and I was about to sign off and Anita's picture popped up. I call her page 18 to this day. I call her page 18. That's it. I asked her for a date and we went to Amerigo.
Well, let me stop him right there because one of the best parts of the story is that I had just come back to Christian Mingle because I'm one of those people that I would have been fine being single for the rest of my life.
Right.
But I wanted to, I'm like, if God, you want me to be married, then I want to give that a chance. So I put myself out there. I tried Christian Mingle, eHarmony, Match.com, and I was just going back and forth trying different ones. And it had been about a year since I had been at Christian Mingle. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give Christian Mingle a shot. So I just went back to Christian Mingle. The second day is when I got his message.
Oh, really?
So he was about to end his trial, and I had just come back.
And
so
just
it was literally 24 to 48 hours where we could have missed each other.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was a close call.
Yeah.
So Anita, what did you think in person for the first time? Because a lot of people, their picture looks nothing like they are in real life. Now, did y'all talk at all before you met? I mean, I'm figuring you did a little bit on the phone.
Well, funny enough, I am not a phone person.
Oh, really?
Nor a talker. Interestingly enough. So we did a lot of emails and probably texts. We might have talked on the phone once, maybe.
No, we didn't.
We didn't.
It was just email. We just emailed back and forth, and yeah.
But so we made he asked me out for a first date, and we met in Marigo's in Cool Springs, and when he walked in, like I had a picture, you're right. You see someone. Right. And he was cute. I mean, his picture was cute. That's why I responded. But when he walked in, the way he was dressed, he had like very stylish and had even a scarf on and a cool jacket. And I almost ran right when I saw him. Cause I'm like, there's no way he's going to want to date me. Oh. That's what I thought, for real. That's seriously what I thought. So I was nervous the whole time, and I was totally not expecting. I'm like, this is fun. We're enjoying it. We're having a nice lunch. But, he's not going to want to ask me out on a second date. So that was my initial response.
Did you know at all what Jim did before you went out on a date? And we're going to get to what I know that a lot of people know Jim Danaher, know what he does, but a lot of my people don't know. We'll get to that in a minute, but I wanted to get this part first. Did you know?
Not initially, but like probably a few emails in, he finally told me.
Okay. And you, Anita, tell what Jim does.
Well, Jim has, was it 23 years now? How many years?
Almost 25.
It's right. Almost 25 years. He's been the, what is the word for it? Band leader, but there's another word for it.
Musical
director for Michael W. Smith. So he's the band leader, musical director, and also plays keys for Michael.
Jim, you actually pretty much 99.9% of the time when when Michael W. Smith's doing a concert or performing somewhere, you're there with him,
Yeah.
arranging and doing keys and kind of putting some of the
Yeah.
show together with him,
Yep.
correct?
Yep. Yep.
That's got to be neat to find that out later, that you both have such a close tie to Christian music and a love for that. That's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things about it that, just like she was saying, the fact that we came so close to missing each other. I mean, there's no doubt that God was pulling the strings
Absolutely.
and making that all work, because
And just even, life on the road and traveling and that kind of thing, we both understand.
And I know we're joking about the coronavirus being together so much. My wife and I have been together for, 2.5 months now, and not even, I mean, it's like whenever I want to go, oh, please go to the store and get something. We need some time alone. But it is good, though, when you travel and you're kind of separate, because you go with Tammy and do things with her, and you go with Michael W. and do things with him, and then come together, and it makes it a little nicer to be apart and then back together. I think that's a good arrangement. Anita, you with Tammy have traveled the world with Tammy. Isn't that correct?
It is. Yeah, we've done women's conferences all over. Even we were talking about Singapore the other day, like a handful of years ago. We went to Singapore. So just amazing places we've seen. Yeah, it's been absolutely incredible.
You've gone to Africa, because I keep up with you guys, because I love watching your funny videos on the airplanes and the little things that y'all do. And
I'm the sidekick. She's the. I mean, there's so many words I could say right now, but she's the goofy one. I'll say goofy.
Yeah.
And I'm just there.
It's equal parts.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Jam, you could
I
probably.
allow her to be goofy.
What's
she
that?
Needs an audience. I allow her to be goofy because she's the one that needs an audience.
Right.
So.
Right.
I'm easy to laugh, so I laugh at pretty much everything she does.
She's naturally funny. I was talking to Mark Hall with Casting Crowns the other day, and he's the type that people know him as a singer, but he loves comedy, and he loves being funny too. But he doesn't, he said, man, for you guys that are comedians, people are expecting you to be funny when you get there.
Yeah.
But as a singer, you're up there, and then you're just like, wow, he's funny too. And that's kind of the way Tammy is. I know you've been around the world too, Jim. Tell us about some of the things that you've done, because you've gone with, I guess, with Michael W. on a lot of Franklin Graham things.
Oh, yeah. In fact, the first international trip I did with him was that first year, which was 1996. I think Europe was the first thing I did with him overseas. And then not long after that was a Franklin Graham event, or is it Billy Graham? Oh, no, I guess that first one was a Franklin one. But for a while there, it was, Billy Graham and Franklin. But we did a trip to South Africa in 97, I think it was. And from there, I just kind of same thing. She and I don't know how in detail we've compared notes, but we've both been to so many of the same places. And some of them are pretty off the beaten path. I mean,
oh, yeah.
Faroe Islands was one that we did with Smitty, which is kind of way up in the North Atlantic. Israel, a place that we've both gone a few times, which I never thought I would get to. And once you've been there, it affects you. It really gets into your system. And I'd love to go back there. Right before the coronavirus thing really hit, Smitty and I went to Guam and Saipan. And my flight home from there was a couple hours after the president of or prime minister of South Korea said that they might close down the airport. I came this close to being stuck over there, and it was nuts. It was pretty crazy.
Well,
that's the last real travel we did.
And there's another friend of mine who that I went to college with and traveled with was Steve Van Dusen, who works with the Graham Crusade.
Oh yeah,
Franklin Graham. And I saw a little bit of your Guam trip. That looked kind of remote out there.
Oh, it was awesome. It's beautiful. I mean, it's like Hawaii. It's kind of over in that direction.
Now, Jim, you do some custom projects too, don't you? Of your music, just instrumental. Do you have? Tell us a little bit about what's around you behind there.
Well, this is just one angle of the studio. I'm surrounded by keyboards in here. I mean, from the time I was a teenager. I mean, I was born in early 70s, but my growing up years were the 80s. So anything to do with synthesizers and keyboards. Anita, I think probably has stopped biting her lip because there's another one. It's just so you know, and of course it's popular right now, and so I'm always working on what's next. You know, what's the next project?
Do you have a website or somewhere that Anita has designed for you where they can find your music?
I think she wants to take it over because she likes running my life, which is she knows I need help. But I designed it kind of before we met, and so it's kind of still, you know, in that ballpark. But yeah, it's just jimdaniker.com, and there's lots of stuff on there. But of course now with everything being on Facebook and Instagram, I started a live series of my own a couple weeks ago. And so you can find that on my Facebook page. You just
good.
Look me up there, and it, yeah. And there's two. There's my personal one, and then there's my music page.
What church do you guys go to in Nashville?
Grace Chapel in Leapers Fork or Franklin, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Amazing church I started going to like in 2007, I think. So I just happened to look. I was looking through an old Bible and I saw an old brochure from church in my Bible, and it was like December 2007. So it's been a long time. An amazing church. It's grown like crazy. It's Pastor Steve Berger, who's absolutely amazing, a man of the Word of God and the truth of God, and not afraid to say it, which I love, but says it in such shares it in such, how do you explain just his
compassionate?
Yes.
It's
easy to listen to.
Yeah, I kind of inherited, like, you know, when I kind of came on the scene in Anita's life, my whole life was kind of starting over, and so I was in the midst of trying to find a church home that really felt like it was home for me. And so I'd heard about Grace Chapel forever, and finally thought, well, I'll check it out. And I fell in love with it too, because Steve he's one of those guys. He tackles topics that a lot of pastors are afraid to touch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he does it in such a way that it's just so rooted and grounded in Scripture, and it's a good spot.
That's good. That's good. You mentioned your daughter earlier. How old is she now?
16.
Almost.
Yeah.
17 in August.
17 in August. Yeah.
And has she taken a liking to Anita?
No.
No.
Yes. How can anybody not like Anita?
Yeah, that's what I say. Because it always, you know, I have a stepdaughter too, Brandy. Of course, she's older, got kids of her own now. But it can be a struggle. And I was wondering, I meant to ask about that earlier, how that was. Did she take a natural liking, or did it take a while?
You know, no. I mean, in fact, we keep a picture. I keep this picture down in our dining room of the two of them just buddy, and you know, I mean, she's a teenager, so of course there's times it's hard, you know, for us. I mean, Caitlin and I, we've had our you know, typical teenage moments. And so, yeah, I mean, anytime there's that, you know, the step parent dynamic, I mean, it's not ever going to be smooth as glass, but yeah, I mean, they both love to laugh, and
that's good.
And so there's always laughter in our house most of the time.
When you do everything you're supposed to do.
When I do everything I'm supposed to do.
That you sound like Donna. I try to put the dishes in the dishwasher and get it running before she sees it.
Yeah,
because she will go and rearrange it all. You know, you didn't put that in right. You know, and I'm like,
oh. We joke that we've got our stereotypes backwards in our house. Like, Anita's not a shopper. I am much more of a shopper. Right. She doesn't like to talk. I could talk your ear off.
Yep.
She hates doing dishes, hates doing anything to do with dishes. So our deal is I do the dishes and she does the cats. She takes care of the cats.
Oh, I have noticed. Yeah, she got a lot of cats. Yeah, you can be the cat lady. That's for sure.
Yeah, we barely made that threshold too, because when I was looking on Christian Mingle, she's like, "Oh, she's got 2 cats. Any more than 2 is like, no, disqualified."
I know.
But how many do we have now?
Well, now we have 3.
And that's because of him. He wanted the third one.
Oh, you wanted the third one. Okay. Let's go get her.
I always forget him.
If you get 4 or more, you got to get a shopping cart to go with it and some bags and go.
Right,
okay.
Right.
I've never been. I love looking at your cats on the Instagram and Facebook. I love looking at them. They're cute, but I'm so thankful that my wife is allergic to them, because she loves them too. But we have dogs, so that's a good thing. Have you guys started back to church yet? Physically?
Not in person yet.
They started a couple weeks ago doing drive-in church. They set up a stage and a big old
PA system.
No, the screen.
Oh,
I do run sound. I know what a PA system is.
yeah.
The big screen,
Yeah.
jumbo screen or whatever you call that. And so they would do the 2 services on Sunday, and they'd have up to 400 cars come, and you could step outside of your car and listen. So it was a totally outside thing. Awesome.
I'm assuming and guessing, like my schedule. Of course, when you do this for a living, it's crazy because then you have nothing for 3 months, and thankfully everybody, they didn't cancel it; they just moved it. And I'm hoping that's what you guys did with because both of you have separate things that you do, and hopefully all that got moved. With your show that you're doing on Facebook, I was never doing all this kind of stuff. And Mark Lowry, who was doing it for years, and he said, you need to do it, you need to do it, you need to do it. And so this kind of pushed me to do it because I was here, and I said, well, I got time, so let's do it. And it's been fun. So we're learning a lot of new skills. Jim, I know Anita is a PC person.
Oh, dude.
Are you a Mac person?
You've done it now.
Yes. Hardcore Mac guy.
Because even before you met her, I said, you need a Mac. You need a Mac, you know. Now, do you have an Android phone, Anita, or do you have, what I call a...
Funny. I have a great big iPad that I love, and I have an iPhone.
Where'd you get that? Where'd you get that iPad?
From my husband. He got it for me for a gift. I love the iPad. I love the iPhone. I have an iWatch.
There you go.
Apple Watch.
I'm glad you made that clear. Apple Watch. That's right.
Yeah. Did it used to be called iWatch?
No, always Apple Watch.
Okay. It should be.
Yeah.
iPad, iPhone, iWatch.
So she's got a foot in both camps. We're working on her, praying for her slowly. There's no.
One day you'll get your heart right with God and do that. My wife.
Scott, you're a Mac guy.
Oh, absolutely. From the 80s, from the mid 80s, I had a Mac Classic actually.
Same here.
And
I just can't do Windows because it's like looking at an Etch-a-Sketch all day. But
my Lord Jesus, help us.
Anyway,
I did. I bought a Windows computer for about. I had it for about 2 months. And mistakenly, I was trying to figure it all out. And of course, when I installed stuff on it, it took 11 steps, whereas Mac, it took 3. And I hit yes to all one time by accident, and it just erased the whole computer or something. I don't know. But anyway, I just got frustrated with it. I'm using the Mac for this right now. Matter of fact, I'm using the built-in camera. I don't even have a really nice camera. I'm using the one that's built into the computer, which looks great. Yeah. And yours looks great. I don't know if that's the Mac camera or if you got a camera for that.
It's my iPhone.
This is her iPhone.
Oh, see, that's great.
I set up kind of a whole broadcast studio now, but I didn't have time today to install Skype and try and get all that going. But normally we've got 2 really good cameras going and all that. And it's been, like you said, it's been an education. Right,
and it's been an education for churches too. A lot of churches it's pushed them to where they need to be. Finally pushed restaurants and businesses that use Apple Pay. I've been using it for years. I don't know what that is, and now they finally start to use it. So that's great. Right. But one of these days we'll keep praying for you, Anita, and we'll get you on board. Anita, on your websites, you've done some websites for some pretty recognizable people besides your husband and Tammy. Tell some others that you've done for.
See, now my mind is blank. You asked me a question and my mind went blank. For a while, I was doing What's Her Face.
Yeah, that's her. I remember her. Yeah.
She was on Days of Our Lives. One of the.
Was that the lady? She was on one of the Apprentice shows, wasn't she? Is that the one you're talking about? With Trump.
Shoot, what is her name? Anyways.
There is a lady with dark, short hair.
Yes,
that was on. Yeah, that was. She was on the Celebrity Apprentice with Trump.
Oh, probably. Yeah. But her original start was back in one. I think it was Days of Our Lives.
Right. We know all kinds of things about her. We just don't know her name.
Yeah.
Shoot. Lisa Rinna.
That's it. Lisa Rinna. Yeah.
Yes. So yes, I had helped her for a while. Gosh, I don't know. There's been a lot of different ones over the years.
And your wedding, you had a lot of course, Mike W. Smith was there playing, Tammy was there. But you tell about some other folks that were there that people recognize and how you met them, too.
Yeah, my friend Candace Cameron.
Yeah.
Beret. She was
Miss Hallmark.
Yes, Miss Hallmark. We met through Tammy and Candace were speakers at the same conference years ago in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. At a big women's conference, and I grew up watching Candace on Full House, and I always wanted, like growing up, I was like, I want to be your best friend. I want to be your best friend. I want to
Right.
be your best friend. And so this was the first time ever meeting her. So I was like so excited I was going to meet Candace, right? And so she flew in. I think she watched Tammy do her set. We watched Candace do her set, and then she flew right back home. They were living in Miami at the time. And she flew right out. And I had a chance. I was up at Tammy's merch table, and I saw her manager walking her out. And I'm like, oh no, what am I going to do? So I grabbed Tammy's book and one of her CDs and my business card. And I hand it to Candace and say that we just loved meeting you, loved hearing your story and hearing you speak. And she said, thank you, same thing. And so she got on the plane, got home the next day. She emails me and says, I want you to know, I actually read Tammy's book on the way home on the plane. And so that started a connection. And she and I are actually the same age. I'm actually a few months older than her. And so we just hung out, or not hung out, but at that time just emailing, talking. And she came to a couple of Tammy's events whenever we were in her area. And somehow one thing led to another, and I flew out and visited her a couple times.
Wow.
And we became good buddies. And she's a great prayer warrior. And she just knew my whole story. So the day I said, I'm getting married, she's like, all right, I asked her, I said, would you be in my wedding? She's like, yes, I'll be in your wedding. So she was very excited for me. So.
That's awesome. We've met a lot of people over the years that just happen to do great things, and we're just friends. And that's a good thing about God. He puts us on the right path to meet the right people. So before we go, I want to ask, we'll start with Jim and end with Anita, because this is all about Anita. It's not about Jim. I always like funny stories that happened.
And Anita laughs because this happens every day in our house. She laughs because I go too fast for her to, when I go downstairs,
he runs down the stairs, and I'm sitting down in my office. Every single time I know when he's coming downstairs, because I can hear the pounding of him running down the stairs.
I just don't do anything slow. I'm always, trying to get to the next thing, and that doesn't always sit well with my beautiful bride. So she,
take your time.
It's more of a daily thing with us. And I always say that with Anita, there's a thing that she does since she met me, probably. Maybe you did it with Tammy. You probably did it with Tammy. Her face around me is always, she's always biting her lip. It's
I've seen that look. Yeah.
So it's just, I just know that when I come downstairs and I say, babe, I did this, I hurt myself, and she just bites her lip and shakes her head, and that's just a daily thing in our house. And then she laughs and giggles at me, and that's what keeps our marriage going, I think, because she just has I've got a real short fuse, and that's, God is working on my character that way, but Anita has a 10-mile long fuse. It takes a lot to really make her mad, because most of the time she just bites her lip and giggles at me, and then it kind of diffuses any situation that might be brewing, and it kind of lets me know to not take myself so seriously. And so I always say that our awesome marriage is her fault, because she just is endlessly patient, and the fact that she laughs at everything is a big help to me. So
yeah, that's good.
It's a help to both of us.
There's a lot to laugh at, babe.
That's good. Yeah. Well, and I have a short fuse too. I know what that's like. I told Donna, very rarely does she get mad enough to throw something at me, but she has. And and one time she threw her favorite Starbucks mug that broke. And I'm thinking, how to make
Which always makes the situation even better, doesn't it?
That's right. I say, see what you did? Oh, I shouldn't have said that. What about you, Anita?
Well, the funny thing is actually more, it happened with me and Tammy on stage, but it was more me doing something. Was since I get nervous, like literally even right now, my hands are sweaty because I just get nervous being in front of people or knowing people are watching or whatever. So early on, when I first started working for Tammy, she brought me up on stage. We were in Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah, at a women's conference. Yeah. And she brought me up. She would bring me up to help kind of talk about a product, pass out a product at the end. So she wasn't kind of doing it herself. So she would talk about it, and then I would go to pass the CD out, like throw out the T-shirt, throw out the CD to the crowd or whatever. Well, I was so nervous that she had called me up because she didn't tell me she was going to do it. It was the very first time. I was so nervous that when I went to go throw the CD, it stuck in my hand and didn't release until my arm went all the way till the end of the follow through, and it flew back and flew into the drywall.
Oh my goodness!
Of the church, and it stuck in there.
Somebody would have been killed.
Oh,
we all, Tammy and I both fell to the floor laughing hysterically. The women literally were 500 women in this church laughing hysterically, and I got emails forever after that.
Oh my God!
Because I get stupid when I'm nervous,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's probably more me doing the funny stuff.
I've never liked the phrase "the new normal." That's just personally. Yeah. I don't buy into that. And but after we get back to normal, what's the next thing on your agenda, Jim? First, what's the next thing on your agenda? Where will you be heading?
Getting out of Anita's hair, I think, for a little while.
Yeah.
I think she'll celebrate when tour dates start back up again.
Yeah.
Right now we're scheduled the tour that we did one tour date back in March, and the next day is when everything really started going downhill. So they rebooked that tour right now for October. And then Smitty's going to do a Hawaii thing. He does these, we call them land cruises. Every other year he's been doing a cruise either to Alaska or the Caribbean or whatever. But this year, because it's such a big deal, they scheduled it a couple of years ago. We're doing 10 days in Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
In October. And so that might be the first thing we end up doing. And we're just praying that still happens.
Sure.
Because it will be awful if that goes away.
Oh,
but, yeah. Until then, prayers appreciated because she
absolutely
has to put up with me being at home.
Hey, what about you, Anita? Where are you heading next once things start cranking back up?
We have right now, still have a couple things in August. And then, so hopefully those are still on. One of the ones in August is one that was moved from April, so hopefully it's not going to be moved again. But yeah, so August hopefully we'll get out and about. But I definitely miss it when you're home. This is like I was actually telling, I think Tammy and I were talking about this. Like this is the longest, even in our marriage, that we've been home this amount of time together.
Right.
Ever. I mean, I don't know if I've ever been in the 17 years I worked for Tammy. I don't know if we've ever been home for 2 or 3 months or whatever without getting on a plane.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So it's very interesting.
Same here. It's something to get used to and adjust to. When my father passed away, I was 16, and my mother, she had a banker that kept calling her, and I said, "You gonna get with him?" Because he was, he wanted to take her out. And she goes, no. I spent all my life with your daddy, and I'm ready to have my alone time. So, and she never remarried. I mean, that was the thing for her. I'll call you again on the 55th anniversary, 50 years from now.
There you go.
We'll just beam over then, hopefully. So,
beam over.
That's right. That's right. But I really appreciate y'all taking some time to do this. It's fun just to talk about life. I want everybody watching this to pray for Anita, pray for Jim and their life at home, and pray that God will give them a great, long, happy marriage. Well, I love you guys, and thank you so much for being on this show. I don't know what you call it, podcast, web show, whatever. It's at youtube.com/ScottDavisTV. But I appreciate you guys being on here. We're going to be praying for you guys. And when you get back on the road, pray for both of your ministries as well. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott.
Have a good one.